First and foremost, thank you, Akira Toriyama, for everything you've done. The world of anime, video games, movies, television, art, and fighting will never be the same without you. You have inspired so much in every medium you've impacted, and it will last eternity. I got my start in Dragon Ball back in the early 2000s when Nickelodeon started showing Dragon Ball Z Kai, a more modern take on Dragon Ball Z. It cut out a lot of filler and cut out a lot of the blood and some other things that Western audiences might not have liked at first. And it still holds up, and it was the advent of big anime coming to the West. In my opinion, way better than 4Kids ever did. But that aside, as someone who had a military parent who didn't allow them to watch a lot of fighting, let alone shows like Ed, Edd n Eddy, Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends, Dragon Ball was a surefire thing that she would not have been open for me to watch. And yet, I somehow found myself in the midst of one of the greatest shows of my generation and generations to come. There are too many things that I can name off the top of my head that Dragon Ball did good, and maybe like a handful of things that were bad, mainly the start of GT. But let's face it, Dragon Ball is going to live in our hearts, in the hearts of our children, and our children's children, and so on for years to come. I had watched Dragon Ball Z before I had watched Dragon Ball, and that was only because I had cable at the time. I didn't really know much outside of just Dragon Ball Z. Later on, I watched the series in its entirety, even rewatching all of Dragon Ball Z, just to get the full picture of everything. And even the filler, albeit some awkward things, mainly the car scenario, were fun distractions. In Dragon Ball, you had choreographed fights that were truly a testament to martial arts. Dragon Ball Z, you had the world expanded beyond anyone's comprehension with space, Frieza, and a bunch of other things, including time travel. Dragon Ball GT shifted away to another adventure that was both at home and in space. Revitalizing the franchise came later when it came to Dragon Ball Super, breathing new life into an already beloved cast of characters. Dragon Ball Daima is without a doubt Akira Toriyama's last gift to us, showing that he listened to the fans and was always the father of the Dragon Ball community, giving us Super Saiyan 3 Vegeta and Super Saiyan 4 Goku. Almost as if he knew his time was coming, his actual last manga page showed his favorite character, Piccolo, waving us goodbye, the audience. It was the last thing he had ever changed in regards to the manga, and I can see why, almost as if he'd known his time was coming. Neva in Dragon Ball Daima kind of acts like a guide for Goku in a carefree, nonchalant way, similar to how Toriyama Sensei had portrayed himself in all of the manga. His iconic character always giving that friendly gesture, timid yet carefree to the very end. I say Sensei because he had inspired my own art when I was in high school, and even though it's a bit embarrassing since it's not that great, I was in high school after all, I still have it as a reminder of my roots as both an artist and an individual. Eva acted as a little bit of a plot MacGuffin for Daima, a reflection of his beloved creator, guiding Goku and his friends one last time. I truly believe this was curated as a sort of swan song, and I am very grateful to be part of this community, noticing the little details within the show itself. It's very hard to write my feelings on Dragon Ball as a whole, and considering this is my first video, truly going over my emotional stance when it comes to this. I will say, this was one of the few creators I had truly cried for, outside of other icons like Satoru Iwata, or the creator of Yu-Gi-Oh!, or Etika even. This one hurt a lot. In regards to how Dragon Ball has affected me regarding my fitness, health, I used to be a powerlifter. I used to train like Vegeta until my body hurt and ached so much that my girlfriend at the time was very concerned for my health. I had the training mentality of Vegeta, a very admirable quality. Hard work, determination are the cornerstones of Toriyama's work. However, there's one element that Goku has mastered, which is why I believe he is always ahead of Vegeta and is Toriyama's favorite. That's to relax, to rest, and to take in life. You can see in the Cell Saga, Goku taking it easy, knowing that his body needs time to rest, while Vegeta, on the other hand, went into the hyperbolic time chamber to train more. It's one thing to accept your limits. It's another to break past them and then going beyond that, and breaking yourself in the process. When I was watching this, my mother at the time, she really loved the Cell Saga more than she did the Frieza Saga, because of what it meant as a coming-of-age thing. She saw her little Gohan becoming a man figure out of what I had wanted to do my entire life, in terms of art, gaming, so on. A young youth in high school, he wanted to be an artist, me being the he, or someone with a creative passion, whether it was writing and animating, or, even videos on the internet. Never stopping to take in the next challenge. The video games were another outlet for me in my youth, only reinforcing the inspiration Dragon Ball had already provided as a show. It wasn't until I matured and realized that life is full of ups and downs, victories and losses, people who hurt you and people who hurt people, where I soon realized that training myself until my body broke was not the healthiest choice, nor was I mature enough to kind of understand. It wasn't until I took a step back, did a mental health and holistic approach to my life, really made me understand what Toriyama Sensei was talking about. I had felt like I had to defend someone no matter what. Once I had lost that person, I realized that my mental capacity was that of Vegeta's: pride, arrogance. I wasn't as stoic and forthcoming as Son Goku is. I reflect on my life mainly because Dragon Ball can be applied to so many scenarios, so many people, and a lot of people really understand. I don't live in the Dragon Ball world where there's a new threat every week. The threats I had at the time were my ex-girlfriend's crazy family, and even though she was wonderful in every sense of the word, I constantly was walking on eggshells trying to prove myself to her and her family, kind of like the arrogant prince himself. I tell you this personal story because breaking myself, fighting constantly mentally and, physically in the gym to be the best that I could, just like Vegeta did, instead of relaxing, taking life in as it is, strides forward, I still love that girl with all my heart. If she had called or texted me at any time, came to my door, I would have nothing but open arms, just like Goku would. I can't speak for her, but I can speak for myself when I say the past is behind and I just move forward with my life. Stoic, calm, carefree, the mentality that Goku has. And I think it made me stronger for it. Like I said, this was something I learned later in life. And the reason I'm saying this is because it really reflects my life with Dragon Ball. And it took a lot to come to these conclusions. Observing and analyzing the dynamics of each of the characters, making sure you don't conflict strength for kindness, or conflict weakness for boldness or arrogance. These are things that are all common themes in anime, but they can all be rooted back to Dragon Ball. I was also fighting some battles with myself. I was very sick shortly after, but some battles are in the mind and some battles are in the body, or in the spirit. You truly never know what a person is going through. Vegeta is always in Goku's shadow, but he never took the time to appreciate the things he had. At least, not until later. And by then, it was too late. That incident.
Trunks, Bulma, I do this for you. And yes, even for you, Kakarot.
That incident. In life, there are no second chances, and Toriyama Sensei seemed to know that. Every single one of his writings, from the end of Dragon Ball Z, to the end of Dragon Ball, to Daima, to the end of Super, each time he had finished a series, it was always as if it was his last. An admirable quality, only done by a select few individuals. One that comes to mind is Masahiro Sakurai from the Smash Bros. Series, always quoting each game as if it was his last. When Dragon Ball's creator died, everyone had flooded the internet. News outlets, medias, posting, heck, even Kentucky Fried Chicken got in on it. No amount of sorrow was not felt across the world. The globe was mourning an icon, a modern-day Shakespeare even. We truly, truly lost someone who inspired and gave people something that they're lacking, hope. He touched the souls of so many people, and I think it's that kind of nature we need in people these days, more often than not. People who inspire, people who invent, people who do things for good. The territory was a domino effect when it came to anime. A lot of modern shows influenced by this piece of media alone. Dragon Ball influenced Naruto, influenced One Piece, to newer animes like My Hero Academia, or just pick a stone of any anime. Honestly, there's a lot of them here. This is a gaming channel, but anime and video games are starting to be this weird breed of mixed ideas, ideologies, stoicism, heroism, living as free as possible, merrily, and anime is going to be a part of this channel too. I even think my first anime instance of this channel might actually be just to talk about Dragon Ball. Don't let that detract you though. My thumbnail editor right now does not know much about Dragon Ball, and doesn't care much for anime, yet he can feel the gravity of the situation, just by the way I talked about it to him, and why it was important to me and the entire world, everyone else who has been touched by this. Today is a day to remember Toriyama Sensei and all he's done, and I apologize that if you expected pure gaming out of this channel, but it's a heavy topic that I really feel passionate about. In regards to the loss of our beloved hero, and if you're watching this, I want you to go outside, make the biggest spirit bomb, Genki Dama you could. Lend him your energy on this day to remember. And as always, as Master Roshi says, and has said, and will continue to say, hard, study well, and eat and sleep plenty. That is the Turtle Hermit way. May you all remember today. Thank you.